interested in capturing the awful things that went on in the world and celebrating them. Is the fate of the world, in that the world isn't necessarily a good place, but it's an interesting place. I'm Ilona Gaynor and I'm from London, and I studied at the Royal College of Art in London. And I studied design interactions underneath two professors, Tony Dunn and Fiona Raby. And what led me to design was that I wanted to do film, and my father's a filmmaker and my mother's a designer, and for some reason over the years my interest shifted, but only shifted slightly, in that my work is now design about film. So it's a place in between the two, and I somehow think I should have been a lawyer instead. MA in Design Interactions, I won a prize called the Sir Ridley Scott Prize, and Ridley came round the show 3 times in 2 years during the RCA, my time at the RCA, which was 2 years long. And he was, little did I know, he was going to give a prize to someone, and he gives a prize every 10 years. And he saw my work and continued to talk to me with his advisors about the work, but little did I know what it was for. And then I was informed one day that I'd been nominated for the Ridley Scott Prize, which is amazing. Just any connection to Ridley Scott whatsoever was absolutely fine with me. But he gave me the prize that was being talked about was 2 years worth of practice that was to be funded.
Wow.
So he paid out of his pocket 2 years of my working career when I left the Royal College to establish the kind of work I wanted to establish, and he supported that kind of work. So I produced a piece of work that set up as a kind of research premise. I followed a woman in Arizona for 6 months using a PI who I paid to divulge the economic worth of a woman and her body parts as a way to figure out how to kidnap her and make as much money as I could over a certain period of time based on the people that might miss her, and then use that as leverage to allow a group of financial actuaries to discuss how we could make as much money out of her bestowed violence as possible. So understanding how I use design as a role to penetrate other subjects is something that I've been cultivating for a long time, and it's not that it was necessarily a conscious decision, but I position myself as a designer as someone who gets things done no matter what the cost. And if that means consulting advisors that know more about their specific subject than I do in order for me to get the answers I want, then I'll contact them. For example, to use your example, I worked at Merrill Lynch during the summer of 2010 as an investment banker, and I know nothing about investment banking. I mean, I do now, but in order to do so, I cultivated a personality and a persona with which I sold that persona to Merrill Lynch to make them believe that I knew what I was talking about, but did not. Okay, so the Department of No, which is my studio that I've been running now for how many years? 6 years. Splits my time between consultancy and research that relates to security studies, which isn't necessarily through science, but I guess philosophy and mathematics of security studies, which is to say that architectural propositions which hold people back or secure things. And we figure out how we break those systems in person, so architecturally, which is to say that it's DIY techniques rather than any kind of highfalutin algorithmic system, hacking, etc., etc. It's nothing like that. It's looking at basic architectural systems in which humans can make a difference, and not through technology. And then we also consult in film companies, and I reiterate and rewrite scripts for movie companies to make their work more realistic, I suppose, in comparative to real stories that have occurred, crimes, murders. I specialise in the murder as a design proposition. I wanted a studio that did not at all approach sustainability, because I consider it a dirty, horrible word that is plagued the design industry and the design, even the critical design world. There's a certain point at which we need to realise the fate of the world, and the Department of No was an excuse to recognise, on the flip side, that design doesn't need to adhere to what is good, but what is human and what is wanted, which is destruction and terror. A project called Under Black Carpets, and it was the proposal to rob 5 banks in Los Angeles in one day. And the point of the work was to discuss the legal implications of how you could convict robbers from the perspective of the police force investigating these robberies after they took place, in understanding how objects created discourse within the court of American law. So can you, which we all know we can, but in the most intricate way possible, can you convict someone of a crime they didn't do, and how and why? English law is based on very, very old principles, and in England you are guilty until proven innocent. In the US you are innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, so I'm writing a play now, which looks at, it's hard to articulate it because it's literally brand new. It opens in March at the Saint-Étienne Biennale. It's in a space that's the size of an airport hangar, so it's very big. And it's going to be a stage set in which a play will not be performed. So the set will be there, and the script will detail the audience through the set, and there'll be lighting cues but no actors. And the play is about understanding basic workforce as a modern day contemporary nature for escapology, in that people as a working nature maneuver and shift politically in order to escape certain constraints, and the slippage is interesting, and it's a very, very contemporary phenomenon.